All right, so you've decided you're interested in driving a truck for a living. So now let's conquer the most common question, which is, how much am I going to get paid my first year in trucking? All right, guys, so one of the most common questions for new drivers and students is, how much money can I make in trucking, right? From day one, when I start off, how much money am I going to make? Well, that's kind of a loaded question because it depends on where you drive, how long your training takes, and every company is different, okay? So you have to keep all that in consideration because a portion of your first year is going to be in training, all right? And so what your company pays for training is what, pays you during training will determine at the end of the year what you actually made that year. So to give you an example how much it can vary, Stevens Transport pays $350 a week to their students during training, okay? CR England, their drivers average about $505 a week in training until they get to the second phase, and then it averages about $580. And then KLM is $514.99 a week as long as you're on the truck all 7 days. All right, it breaks down to $73.57 a day. But if you're on the truck all 7 days, it's $514.99. And I think we all by now know what Prime Inc. pays, right? So Prime pays during their TNT phase, which is after you have your CDL. They pay $700 a week for the first 40,000 miles and $800 a week after that until you upgrade to your own truck. So all of that will come into play because all of these training programs are different lengths. You can go online to each individual site and figure it out. Stevens is an 8-week program. Prime's is probably about a 12 to 16-week program, but you come out more prepared for trucking, in my opinion. KLM is anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. So every company is different. So once you have the keys to one of these shiny chrome machines back there behind us, what are you going to actually make? What is realistic that you can make in trucking your first year? Well, I can tell you from experience what I'm finding out and talking to my students is it kind of depends, right? Whether or not you're a company driver, whether or not you're a lease operator. Company drivers are probably making in the area of $1,000 to $1,200 a week, okay, for company drivers. That's kind of where they're at. Now that's before taxes, before deductions, before any of that. Okay, so if you take the health insurance and you take all the little different things they offer, all of that will affect your net pay, all right? But they're grossing $1,000 to $1,200 as company drivers. Now, I would think that would probably be top end at a lot of companies. Prime, that's average. But I'm telling you, you get into companies like CR England and Stevens, that's going to be the top end of the bracket for their new drivers. Prime, that's just an overall average for their first year drivers. Now, you can, as a lease operator, make a little more than that, okay? As a lease operator, you have the ability to make a little more than that. But please remember, you're also paying your own taxes. You're having to go out and get your own insurance. There's a lot of things that you're on the hook for as a lease operator that I'm going to make a video about company versus lease. That's going to be the next video we make. But there's a lot of different things that play into what you will actually make, all right? But as a lease operator, I would think you're going to average somewhere in the area of about $1,400 a week, $1,300 to $1,400 a week once you have your own truck, your first year of trucking, all right? So if you start putting all those numbers together, you start figuring it out, you can see that the possibility to make money trucking is there. Now, there are people who live in areas or have an education who can make way more than that somewhere else and not trucking, okay? If that's the case, trucking is not for you, okay? Trucking is very much a job mainly for rural America, flyover America, right? Where the jobs aren't available or people who do not have an education. Right? There's not many entry-level jobs you can get into without an education that are going to pay you $50,000+ a year. Trucking is one that will, all right? Even your first year. Even your first year, there's no reason why you can't make $50,000 in trucking. And for a lot of people, that's double, triple what they are used to making. And that's a lot of money. For some of you, it's not. Some of you are going, well, that's not even worth it. I understand that, okay? I understand that. Trucking is not for everybody in the world or in the country. It's just not. But for some people, it is a great way to feed their family when the other means that they have aren't as, don't pay as well, all right? The other ways aren't as fruitful, right? They go work 40 hours a week at $10 an hour and they make $400, and they're barely surviving, worrying about next week how they're going to put food on the table. Those are the people who trucking is for, all right? So if you live in rural America, you know who you are, right? If you live in rural America, or you are one of the people who unfortunately don't have an education, and there's a lot of people in this country like that, for whatever reason, especially in rural America, trucking is a great escape to make the kind of living that otherwise you couldn't, all right? Now, some of the things you're going to have to deal with that you're not going to deal with a regular job is you're going to be away from home, right? You're going to be away from home. You're going to be making more money than you would, say, in rural Georgia, but you're going to be away from home. So be prepared for that stuff. We've talked about that in a lot of videos. Make sure you have your family support. Make sure you have a support system in place for you, and make sure you're with a company that has a support system for you from day one in training all the way through your entire career with them. Okay? Not just during your training and then boom, you're on your own. Make sure there's a support system wherever you choose to go that works for you. I think that's pretty vital to you being successful. All right? You've got to have that support system. You've got to have people you can pick up the phone and call and ask questions. You've got to have people to give you advice when you hit a situation that you're not used to dealing with, right? Because this is all new to you. And it amazes me. I've talked to people who freak out, right? They're 2,000 miles from home, the truck breaks down. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because no one has ever explained to them the process. When you're with these mega carriers, guys, with these big companies that most of you are going to start with, that company is going to be there for you, okay? That company is going to get you a tow truck and a hotel room, and they're going to usually, at the very least, advance you money to eat on, all right? You're not going to be on your own. You're not going to be stuck out there in the middle of nowhere trying to figure out how you're going to get home because your truck broke down. All right? So make sure you're with a company that has a support system, that has people in place to help you be successful. All right? Get training from your trainer on everything you may need. All right? One of the big topics right now I've noticed on a lot of YouTube videos is trip planning. It's a hot topic because trip planning has changed so much, right? The biggest part about trip planning nowadays is what time am I going to stop, where am I going to be, and am I going to have a parking spot? That's the big thing about trip planning nowadays, right? Logbook does the rest. The logbook's going to tell you how far you can drive, when you got to take your 30-minute break that hopefully they get rid of soon, stuff like that. Logbook's going to control all that. So you just have to make sure that you get the training you need to be successful, all right? The trip planning, the maintenance on the vehicle, all that stuff comes into play into how much money you're going to make, right? If you go out there and you run a truck out of oil and you blow the engine because you're not doing maintenance on it, that's going to affect your bottom line. Why? Because now you're sitting in a shop. You don't want to do that. So make sure you do your routine maintenance. Make sure you're taking care of your vehicle. Think of it like a child, all right? Or your tool. It's your number one work tool. Clean it, grease it, oil it, water it. Make sure that everything needs to be done to that tool gets done on a daily basis, whatever it may be. I can tell you, as you become a veteran trucker, I guess that's a good way to say it, your truck talks to you. It kicks out sounds, it kicks out smells, it kicks out vibrations, and you know when something's not right. So as you further your trucking career, you will get to understand your vehicle a little better. But that first year, it's really vital that you learn your truck and learn how to take care of your truck and keep your truck in perfect running order so that you are at your fullest potential, you and your truck are at your fullest potential to make money. All that's going to affect the bottom line. So what this really boils down to, everybody, is this. First year truckers, depending on where you go, I would expect you to make over $50,000 a year, okay? If you get with a higher end company, and there's a few of them, Prime is one of them, Schneider's one of them, JB Hunt, I believe their pay, you'd have to look into it, but I believe their pay structure is one of pretty decency. Those companies, you may get into the 60s. You know, Crete's another one. You know, you can cut into $60,000 over there, okay, at these companies. But if you have to take one of these companies at the bottom, Swift, CR England, Stevens, that's going to directly affect your bottom line, okay? Those type of companies, you're going to make 40 grand your first year, okay? 40 grand over here, 60 grand over here. But they're, you know, and people tell me, oh, well, their training's only, you know, 6 weeks compared to Prime's 3 or 4 months. Well, I mean, that's cool if that's what you want to do, but you're going to sacrifice money for the next couple years, right? Or at least the next 12 months until you can go somewhere else. Because most of these companies have a little stipulation on there, you're going to have to give them a year of service time. So just keep all that in mind. All that's going to affect your bottom line. But I believe let's just say $52,000, which is $1,000 a week average, is very realistic entering trucking your first year. But don't be surprised if you're one of those hard runners that you can make over 60 grand your first year in trucking. This is with zero education. All you have to do is have a good driving record, a good background check, right? These are the things that's really all you need, and some kind of stable work history. And I'm finding more and more people are getting into trucking after spending 8, 9, 10 years in these factories that are now closing, where they've been making $14 an hour, and now they can get into trucking, increase their income, and see the country. And that's what a lot of you want to do. Now, most of you only see the country out of your windshield if that's what you choose, okay? Don't think you're going to get out here and see every single city and party every night in New York or Chicago or LA, all right? Because you're going to be working. You're going to see them through the windshield, and every now and then, you'll have the opportunity to take an Uber into town somewhere, baby, on a day off, or if I got an 34-hour restart, and then get to see some of the sights in the towns. But don't think you're going to do it every day, other than the beautiful sights of this country out the windshield. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap that up for first year pay. What's realistic? $52,000 is more than realistic. You can push that up to $60,000 if you pick the right company and get out there and work. Y'all stay safe out there. Be smart. Make good choices, okay, guys? Especially when you're picking the company to start with. Make good choices. Shiny side up, rubber side down. Keep it between the lanes, and I'll see y'all soon.